Captain Midnight.
So in late 2021, I took a look at the Simpsons shorts that had been released on Disney Plus at the time, and I was pretty disappointed by what I found. Probably some of the most cynical brand exercises you'll ever see. To this day, I probably break out in hives if I hear the word plusiversary, which thankfully is not often. But that was a few years ago now. I've watched as new shorts popped up on the streamer, getting morbidly curious what they were up to these days. I figured a new video on them was due, but I think it's the recent Fortnite shorts that really pushed me over the edge. Like, what exactly is going on here? So I decided to watch all the ones they'd made since 2021 and do kind of a roundup on them here. Did they improve? Did they find a reason to exist outside of winking brand synergy? Stick around and you will find out. But no, the answer is no. The thing with these Disney Plus Simpsons shorts is they all basically exist as a promotional exercise for something. An artist, another franchise, the service itself, whatever. And I guess to the Fortnite shorts' credit, it's the one time Disney actually acknowledges this. But the rest of these, I would say, are more in your face about it. So with that in mind, let's jump into the first one. April 2022's When Billy Met Lisa. I guess, in some ways, this is one of the better shorts here. Not great, but at least it features a prominent Simpsons character behaving like an actual Simpsons character, instead of just adding to an IP fever dream. But a lot of commenters on my last video really took issue with this one and asked me to cover it. And I can see why, because the entire thing is based around a premise that doesn't work as well if you really love the golden age of the show. The premise is really simple. Lisa can't find a quiet place to practice her saxophone, so Grammy-winning pop star Billie Eilish magically appears to validate her musical aspirations and invite her to a professional recording studio. In a way, this feels like standard later Simpsons stuff where the show got really obsessed with trendy guest stars, but in short form. I wouldn't say it's funny, none of the gags here are very strong, but at least it just feels like a mediocre Simpsons episode and not whatever some of the rest of these are. But this one managed to really piss off fans for one simple fact. The short requires us to believe that Homer, the same Homer who really earnestly tried to understand and pay for Lisa's music dreams in Lisa's sax, has never at all supported her with her music. Now, to be fair, Homer's also been a jerk to Lisa about her music, and they're trying to pack a lot into a few short minutes. So I get trying to take a shortcut here and there, but it definitely makes the short feel very distant from any form of The Simpsons that most fans loved. It feels like a very thrown together thing meant to utilize Eilish as she was working closely with Disney at the time, on her own concert movie on Disney Plus and on Turning Red. It does the bare minimum of promoting her music with some Simpsons gags, but that's about it. Next up in 2022 was September's Welcome to the Club, where Lisa heads to Disney to be crowned as a Disney princess, only for classic Disney villains to pop up and try to win her over to their side instead. So this one sucks, and is also much more emblematic of what most of these shorts are. Like the last one, music is the centerpiece of the short, but there's also tons of talking about Disney characters and toothless jokes at Disney's expense. That's going to be a real recurring theme here. Like, watching all of these back to back, I gotta be honest, that's just what 70% of the humor is in these shorts. Now, most of this one is Disney villains singing, which sounds pretty good in theory. Like, a lot of these characters have great songs to their name. But the cast here is not up to the task. If you're looking for Ursula to sound anything like Poor Unfortunate Souls, you're going to be very disappointed. There's a lot of commentary on Disney villains, princesses, and princes, but none of this is going to surprise you. They all feel straight out of a BuzzFeed article circa 2015. Did you know the princes in these movies are kind of boring? And that the life of a princess was maybe not that great in real life? It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff. Also, Loki is here for some reason. And this choice Lisa wants to make between being a villain or a princess kind of gets lost in the shuffle of the musical humor, being more of a jumping off point than anything else. Of all the shorts, I thought this was the one that had the most potential to be really fun, but it's a lot more phoned in than I expected. And to be honest, it's not like my expectations were high at this point. It ends on a joke where Mickey is bullying the princes, which just feels like a copy and paste joke from the Jonas Brothers episode of South Park. And that is a comment I made in my last shorts video, but I guess if Disney Plus can go to that well again, I figured I would too. As an aside, one thing that's always really weird about these shorts is that the art they show over the credits at the end is almost always better than the short itself. I wouldn't say they're worth watching just for the art, but it is interesting how the art seems to imply a much better short than what came before it. Closing out 2022, we got The Simpsons Meet the Bocellis in Feliz Navidad, which dropped right before Christmas. This is holiday themed, super short, and again exists for a single purpose: to promote Andrea Bocelli's new album, A Family Christmas, and his cover of Feliz Navidad, featuring his children Mateo and Virginia, who also pop up. So yeah, it's just another very cynical ad in a lot of ways. Like, it was coordinated to release with the song on the exact same day. I guess if you're a big fan of marketing synergy, you'll really love it. But, I mean, I don't know, I found this one pretty painless, honestly. There's no real story here, aside from Bart being won over by the music after just wanting to focus on his presence at first. I mean, at least we get to see a great singer sing a nice song, and there's not 7 million Disney characters crammed into it. If you want to see The Simpsons while listening to a classic Christmas song, I mean, sure, this is fine. It isn't aggressively terrible like Plusiversary or as embarrassing as Welcome to the Club. It's just kind of pointless. Like, it's a perfectly functional holiday commercial for a Christmas album. I think we should just knock out the rest of these like really song-focused ones, so I'll throw in October 2024's The Most Wonderful Time of the Year, which features Kelsey Grammer as Sideshow Bob. He holds Bart hostage and sings a Christmas carol with a Halloween twist. Not gonna lie, this annoyed me a little bit because Bart unironically loved Sideshow Bob performing a musical while he was also about to be murdered in season 5, but whatever, putting that aside, I did have higher hopes for this one compared to the last one. It seemed to focus on Simpsons characters in a Simpsons situation. Again, a really low bar, but hey, I love Sideshow Bob. Well, things go off the rails very quickly as the whole song becomes an ode to the characters of, guess who? Disney. Now, in my timeline of these shorts, I did just jump ahead a few years. Like, this was late 2024. How they thought there was any novelty left to seeing Disney characters in The Simpsons is beyond me. Kelsey Grammer seems committed, at least, and he has a great voice, but the fact that this just feels like yet another ad for what you can watch on Disney Plus brings the whole thing down. Also, I'm sorry, The Simpsons doesn't need a Halloween celebration short. They do an actual Halloween celebration episode every single year. Then we get to the Star Wars stuff. So they made a couple of these shorts with Maggie and Star Wars, and they're very easy for me to mix up because every gag is basically, what if Maggie did something from Star Wars over and over again? This short, Rogue Not Quite One, is from Star Wars Day in 2023. It features Maggie stealing the floating cradle from the Mandalorian and just kind of flying it around while ships from Star Wars chase her. You know, it's funny because while it makes sense for the Maggie-focused shorts to be more focused on the animation and the action than the dialogue, the fact that they really didn't want to pay Dan Castellaneta for this one is way more obvious than it should be here. Homer loses Maggie while he goes to drink at Moe's, which is now the Mos Eisley Cantina, because of course it is. And when he finds out Maggie is gone, he reacts with complete silence. Maybe it's not a huge deal, like Homer is not the star of this one, but it feels so odd with a character who is known for his panicked reactions. The actual short hits the exact same note as that Force Awakens one I covered in the last video. Maggie flies around, gets chased by TIE fighters, fights the one-eyebrowed baby who is now Darth Maul for some reason, and there you go. Now this has one pretty good gag with Chief Wiggum where he decides to save a donut instead of Maggie. You know, I'm trying to find anything positive here. This was easily one of my least favorite shorts because without the Simpsons interacting with each other much at all you're left with is the Star Wars gags and of course the very lame self-deprecating jokes about Disney. Again. Speaking of which, this next one. the Mother's Day special May the 12th Be With You from 2024, which makes Rogue Not Quite One look like Marge versus the monorail. This is worse than Plusiversary from the last video, and that is saying a lot. This short sees Marge going with all the Disney moms for a Mother's Day outing at a Star Wars Disney park in space. There's a ton of park jokes, a Darth Vader gag or two, and eventually Marge ruins the day for everyone by taking their simulation lightsaber battle too seriously, I guess. And to apologize, she throws a big party at the Simpsons house with all the Disney and Hulu characters invited. Most of the jokes here are like Mary Poppins' umbrella turning into a lightsaber. If you like that, you're really gonna like this short because there's a lot of stuff like that. I really think there's nothing of value to see here. Even the gag where Stewie Griffin yells at Homer, which could be kind of funny, is whatever because we've already seen this before. They did a big crossover years ago. All these shorts are clearly just advertising, which I could respect more if they didn't try to constantly wink about it. They're constantly trying to position this self-awareness as subversive, but when it's just shot after shot with almost nothing else on offer, it feels very unearned. Like the writers know they're producing incredibly cynical work, but believe that this acknowledgement of it will make the audience feel in on the joke. Then, finally, we arrive at the Fortnite crossover, the only one that actually makes itself known as an ad on the app. And you know what? I think the first one of these is the best thing here. I know that's not saying much, but it easily feels the most Simpsons. So after two of the basic Fortnite skins, who may or may not have names, I'm sorry, get into a fight with King and Kodos, they end up merging Springfield with the Fortnite Island and drop all of the, Fortnite crystals in the... I'm sorry, I don't play Fortnite. So far, so terrible. But when they get to Homer using a crystal in his TV remote, which gives him the power to transform everything around him, I kind of enjoyed this. He talks to Marge, Moe, and Professor Frink, and there's like actual jokes here, not references, jokes based around Homer and these characters. Jokes that feel specific to The Simpsons. I know this sounds very bottom of the barrel, but it felt like a miracle to me at this point in my watch through. I will say, as this Fortnite series goes on, it becomes increasingly gibberish to me. They start showing actual gameplay footage where everyone is running around with guns. I assume most of this stuff is setting up things that happen in the game, so if you play it, maybe you'll get something out of this that I did not. But for a few glorious minutes there at the beginning, the Simpsons shorts actually managed to feel like shorts about The Simpsons, which is kind of funny because it is in an ad for Fortnite. So yeah, that brings us up to now. I'm sure Disney will keep doing these. They seem like very easy advertising pushes for them, but I really do hope they stop. Not because I despise the idea of Simpsons shorts. I don't actually. I think there's a lot you could do with like a touching 5-minute Mother's Day short centered around Marge. I think I'd be a sucker for that. But what these actually are, how they're almost all the same. Hey, we're Disney. We know we're a giant corporation, but you love all these characters, don't ya? Shtick just over and over again. It's exhausting, it's cynical, and most importantly, it is definitely not meant to be all watched in one night like I did. Could they turn these around and pack a charming little Simpsons story into a few minutes? Absolutely. Will they? I'd be shocked. It's been 5 years of this, and while I doubt they make as many as they did in the early 2020s, I don't see them stopping anytime soon. Another show I've always loved talking about on here is Always Sunny, which annoyingly is not on Netflix in the US. That's where Proton VPN comes in. You set your location to the UK, and it is easy to hop into their version of Netflix and watch Charlie work whenever you feel like it. Now is the perfect time to try it. For Black Friday, you can save 75% and get Proton VPN for just $249 a month. That gives you unrestricted access to fast, secure servers with their VPN accelerator technology and 10 gigabit speeds, meaning smooth 4K streaming with zero buffering. It works really easily across all your devices, your phone, laptop, TV, or Fire Stick, and you can create custom profiles to automatically connect to your favorite streaming services. Proton VPN supports Netflix, Prime Video, HBO Max, Crunchyroll, and more. And the Black Friday savings don't stop there. Proton's also running a sale on Proton Pass, their secure password manager made by the same privacy-first team. It's a great way to protect your account while you're browsing online. So don't miss out. Save 75% and get Proton VPN for just $2.49 a month by heading to protonvpn.com/captainmidnight. You'll also want to check out that Proton Pass Black Friday deal while you're there. The links for both will be in the description or pinned comment below.
Here's a special tip for the fellas and girls who have not already joined Captain Midnight's new 1940 Flight Patrol. You'd better hurry up and join at once because there's a big adventure ahead. The thing to do now is to get started because we're going to have not only barrels of fun, but loads of free gifts and prizes too.